We are live. We have passed the threshold of life and death. We are live. We are alive. Hey, everyone. Hey, Laura. Hey, Aunt. Hey, Kevy. Hey, Spiral Breeze. Oh my God, New Angel. I'll be getting up at 5 a.m. to watch. You're the best. I'm feeling so called to Australia lately. What's it called? I forget, the thought's gone. Okay, so this is New Year Tarot Tools and Forecasts. It's a class. It's forecasts. We're going to make some magic. Super excited. I have a number of questions from people. Hey, Ava. Hey, Stacy. Hey, Jessica. As normal, I am double fisting between two worlds. I have, let's call this one the chat of water and this one the chat of land. Cool, because one of the themes I've been playing with tarot is the relationship between the water and the land in the major arcana, especially how it shows up in something like the Temperance card, where we have 1 foot on land and 1 foot on water. And just trying to keep that balance, between the Newtonian world of logic and reason and the quantum world of possibility, quantum foam and chaos with the world of order, and the fun dance in between time and eternity, which is a big topic I would love to get into today if we have time. I want to totally have a Sefer Yetzirah moment. If you guys want me to get really weird, we can do that. But I do have a lot of questions from people that asked before this, because I sent out an e-blast. And so there's definitely some really cool topics we're going to discuss. I'm going to be teaching a cool tarot technique for the new year. I'm going to be giving some readings. Hey, JD, how are you? I was thinking of you the other day. Maybe it was a dream. It was very collegiate and like, I don't know. It was like, in Skyrim, if everyone ever plays Skyrim, you go to the College of Winterfell or Winterhold or whatever. Yeah. Magic, super magic. Hey, Sagittariana. I love that name. Hi, Joe. Oh, Anna. It's Anna. Cool. Oh my God. Hey, Anna. Anna is amazing. This is in the world of the land, in the YouTube world. Check out her work. She's amazing. Does a lot of modalities. Super intuitive. Really talented. Hey, Elena Tattoos. All right. So while we're heating up, do we want to warm up with some readings before I get into the topics for today? I do have a lot of topics. I probably won't get through any of them, all of them, but I'm definitely going to go through a lot. And you know how like everything is just Swiss cheese. It's filled with wormholes. So one thing's going to lead into the other, and we're just going to keep surfing the waters of time and eternity, straddling the two. Hey, Daniela. Okay, so I actually want to go to my first question that somebody sent me for this class, which was the question. This is from Donna. And Donna's saying, how to tap into intuition or higher self in reading one's own cards. This is such a good question. So when you're reading your own cards, I generally recommend to hey, Zasha, whatever you can do to find that neutral space where you can receive everything that's showing up without a charge. When you have a charge, you're on the wheel of fortune. You are wanting something and trying to avoid something. And that's life. That's what keeps this merry-go-round going, right? We love attraction. We love aversion. It's the wheel of samsara. It's where we burn all of our karmic calories, right? But when you're reading for yourself, if you can kind of release that as much as you can kind of zoom out of your situation, actually see what the hell is going on from a place of like knowing, which is actually kind of a place of silence. It's like a humble knowing. And I'm gonna share with you how I do that for myself and how I do it for other clients. Hey, Steven. Hey, Amber. Lots of people. So I'm double fisting. So I'm going to be doing this a lot. So I'm so sorry if I hope that doesn't cause any. Yeah, it's not going to be cute, but it's fun. It's also good for my dopamine. I love hyperfixation. So I'm just like anything that's rhythmical. I'm like, ooh, yeah. I have my dopamine string, aka cat's cradle. I hold trauma and healing in my hands at the same time. So, okay, let's get into this. So reading for yourself. So let me go back to this first question from Donna. How to tap into intuition or higher self when reading one's cards. Okay, so the technique I'm going to teach you is not, by the way, everything I say is not new. It's just remixed in my world, and it's just curated in my world, and pulled and remixed from different things. Nothing under the sun, nothing new is new under the sun. How does that go? Everything under the sun has been done. But I'll teach you a really great exercise for connecting to your higher self, when reading for yourself. So really simple, what you're going to want to do is you're going to just want to kind of close your eyes and just breathe for a moment, and then find that place about an inch or so under your belly button, and just let it expand out in all directions. So up, down, forward, back, right, and left, deep into the earth, infinitely above. And just keep letting it expand out and out and out and out until your body expands past the town, past the continent, past the globe, until the stars are at your fingertips, and just keep expanding out, 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 out. And then from here, I usually like to invoke Haru. So I'm actually going to do that right now because we are going to be doing readings. So what I'll do from here is I'll shuffle the cards. And you really kind of want to zoom out of the small self. There's a trick in what I just said, by the way. There's an irony, there's a contradiction, but I don't want to get into it. But you're going to zoom out of the small self. And you're going to say, if you want to say this is what I do. I invoke thee, E-I-O, that thou send Haru, the great angel, set upon the operations of the secret wisdom, to lay his invisible hands upon these consecrated cards of art, that thereby we may obtain hidden things in your ineffable name. Amen. And that's it. You could use any other words or any other ways that you can focus your intention. But I always think the most important thing is to get to a place of neutrality so that you can receive everything. Again, like the intuition is like, I use this metaphor a lot. I think this is actually a Joe original. The intuition is like when you zoom out of the maze and you see the whole maze. So the logic, the ruach, the intellectual mind, you're in the maze and you're trying to remember how many rights and lefts and straights and backs you took. And you're like looking in different directions and thinking about it. The intuition is when you zoom out of that maze and you see the whole damn thing and you're like, oh, that's how you get out. It's holistic in multiple senses of the word. Cool. So that's the first. So now that we've invoked Haru, I'm trying to think, is there anything else that we need to talk about? Tapping into intuition and higher self. Another thing about the higher self I actually want to say is that the higher self, I find in my experience and from what I've read, the higher self doesn't prove anything. It just is. So it's like the smaller mind will do everything in its power to persuade you one way or the other. You know, it's like almost heavy, it's stressful, it's like machinery, it's working, it's effortful. The larger mind, the higher self, the intuition doesn't do that. It's just true. And when something's true, it's almost like non-existent. It's just seamless, it's effortless. There's a flow state to it. Hello, Amelie, Fortune Cookies Tarot. Hello. Oh, hey, Anna. Happy New Year. Oh my God. Yeah, that's the whole theme of this thing. New Year tarot tools. I live under a rock. I live under an esoteric rock and I don't even know what's happening. But the wheel continues. We're going to the new year and this is New Year tarot tools. So that's that first question. How do you connect to your intuition and your higher self? I would also just, for reading for yourself, stay curious and keep I kind of recommend keeping your questions open and staying on the creative edge. So like, instead of asking like, what's going to happen? You can ask, if I choose this, what will that create? Pull a card. If I choose this, what will that create? Pull a card. Or what do I need to know about this path? Or just reflection, you know? I find when I do that, the cards, it's almost fail safe. Like, because at the end of the day, I'm setting an intention, I'm going within and the cards are reflecting kind of what's within. And I'm not putting myself in the maze of the ruach, of the intellectual mind, where it's like either right or left. I'm like zooming out of the maze and seeing the whole picture. Okay. Hello, Astral. Hello, Talia. Okay, so while we're still heating up a little bit, does anyone want a reading now that I've invoked True? Actually, this leads into the next question. So I had a question from somebody. Fran, yes. So Fran says she wants to know the meanings of 2 or 3 cards combined. And she wants to see how readings develop organically. So let's do that. Let's do some 2 or 3 card readings. So who wants to go first? Who has a question? Hi, Joe, and Happy New Year. Hey, Raven, happy to be able to catch you live. Yay. Could I have a reading about overcoming my mental health obstacles and what I might be blocking me from growth? Okay, this is a really great question. Hey, Raven. Okay. Could I have a reading about overcoming my mental health obstacles and what I might be blocking? Okay. All right, so I'm going to use the Modern Way Tarot. They sent this deck to me. They are amazing. This deck is such a cool deck. I love it because it's kind of like, it's modern. It's kind of stark in the colors. and people can be whoever you want them to be. So, Raven, I'd like you to focus on that question and tell me when to stop shuffling. Actually, let me invoke a room. If I invoke the Dallas and her, the great angel set upon the operation of the secret wisdom, so these visible hands upon these consecrated cards of art, thereby into knowledge of hidden things, you're enough to name. Amen. Cool. So, focus on that question. Tell me when to stop shuffling. Okay. So we're gonna pull this one. Oh, okay, cool. And then, so when I give online readings, I have the person tell me to stop shuffling for the first card, and then I just find the following cards after that. Okay, so we're looking at mental health, we're looking at obstacles, and what we're looking at is the Knight of Swords and Eight of Wands and the Hangman. So, friend, I'm gonna show you like a combination of cards. So there's a few. Well, let me do the reading first, and then we can analyze it. So we're looking at the Knight of Swords. Your mind is Knight of Swords. Your mind is your biggest talent and your worst enemy. The thing about the Knight of Swords is he can create like rapidly, but he can also destroy. Knight of Swords can be a bully to yourself, but it can also be a magnificent creator. He has inspired mental activity. But what's the opposite of inspiration? Expiration? Oh yeah, I guess so. He's like the inspiration of the mind and the expiration of mind. That makes no sense at all. But it's like the mind going, creating, being curious, following the excitement, but also doing the opposite. So it's like the same creativity that we have that creates our visions and our ideas and inspires us is the same thing that can hold us back. And the Knight of Swords specifically being connected to Gemini. Gemini is all about multiplicity, multiple options, juggling different things, fractalization. So there's a complicated nature to the Knight of Swords, always creating more paths. So in that, you don't want to be like tangled. So this card is saying do one thing at a time, but like respect your mind as a serious creating device. Now, Eight of Wands is furthering that idea. So we have the Knight of Swords, which is flying through the air. We have the Eight of Wands, which is flying through the air. In one way, it's saying the mind is going super fast. You know, we have 70,000 thoughts a day, and how many of those thoughts are actually on our team versus how many are against us? And the mind, and I'm talking about the Ruach now, the mind doesn't really care if we're working for us or against us. It will create either way. And I think we all know that. But generally, these cards are saying you're going really fast, but make sure whatever that the direction is yours and truly yours. So, you know, a lot of things with mental health, and this is just my opinion, I'm not a doctor, but a lot of things I feel like we're very sensitive, we're psychically aware. So I always like to check in and say, is this path mine? Is this my desire? Is this my choice? Is this my goal? Really own it as yours. And sometimes even if the path is just a degree off, you will feel that. And you realize that maybe there's somebody else tugging you in a different way, or you're feeling somebody else's desire or somebody else's value. But you're very fast. You definitely race your way forward. You're very creative. Hangman is the card of being stuck and in between worlds. So in these in between, you know, the magic always happens in the in betweens, right? So we have a contrast between these speedy cards and then this card. So this is telling me that there's a halt coming soon. And within that halt, within that in between, there's a lot that you can create. Remember, the Hangman is woke AF for all intents and purposes. What are the kids saying? Kids saying these days, woke AF. He's upside down, but he's seeing the world for what it actually is. And we're going to get to that today. I'm going to talk about the mysteries between the Hangman and the World card and how they're actually very similar. Because one of my listeners asked me a question about numerology, and we're going to get into that eventually. But the Hangman here is reversing the point of view, reversing the mind. And you know what? A lot of people online will type, oh, just change your mindset. Just change. It's not easy. It's a muscle. It's a freaking muscle, and it takes time and it takes practice. But there's always opportunity to do it. Every time you make a choice, you're either choosing love and fear, I believe. This comes from A Course in Miracles. And sometimes choosing love is hard at first because it's like a muscle, but ultimately it's easy. After you choose love, it's like, oh, of course, why didn't I just do that the whole time? But again, it's easy to say, harder to do in practice. But Hangman is a change of the points, changing of your points of view. Okay. Dear Babylon, thank you for your magnificent reciting of the Book of the Law. Thank you so much, Cameron. Yeah, I'm thinking of doing like a divination drag chamber maybe in January. Maybe do some like drug divination stuff. Yeah, that was fun. I don't know what came over me. What is blocking my ability to lose weight in 2022? So now I just want to analyze, because I did have a listener question about like working with, so this is Fran's question about working with multiple cards. There's a lot of ways you can do it. You can look and see the similarities and the differences of the cards. So for example, in these 3 cards, I'm looking at somebody who's racing through the air. I'm looking at wands racing through the air, and then I'm looking at the complete opposite. So we have 2 in one energy and 1 in the opposite energy. You can look at posture, you can look at color, you can look at just the general feel of the card. You can combine all cards and just see the whole story, or you can look at each card individually. I tend to be more of like, I like to zoom in on each card and get everything out of the card before kind of seeing everything. But yeah, and we're actually going to talk more about using multiple cards when I go into the Celtic Cross, because that was another listener question. Cool. So yeah, did that answer your question? If not, just put another comment, because Earth chat down here is heating up. Okay. Let's see. Fortune cookies. I hate reading for myself. I'm never subjective. That's why I need other readers like you in my life, Joe. Oh, fortune cookies. So Anna, that's a good question. To be honest, Anna, like I do not read for myself the way I read for others. Well, I'm starting to experiment it now, but the way I read, I actually don't read for myself that much at all. I'm starting to more now that I'm just teaching more and doing more tarot related stuff. But in the past year, I didn't read for myself much at all. Or when I did, it was kind of different. It was more reflective. So I kind of used the cards to reflect, to literally just pull one card at the end of the day, or one card. And you know what I do? I love to do? You pull a card or 2 and leave it there for a week and just be with the card and just sit with the card and really feel the energy of the card throughout your life. And when you're doing that, it's not like, it's not really divination. It's more like integrating the energy of the card in your life, in your thoughts, but also existentially. Like I like the Princess of Cups, for example. I was working with her, and then there was a moment where I was looking outside, and it was like kind of raining, or just rained, and I saw the water on the plants. And the Princess of Cups, especially in the Thoth deck, is all about the water and how the ecology of water and how it creates life. And I was looking at the water of the plants, and I was like, oh my God, this is the Princess of Cups, silently going about her work, like humbly, beautifully, a beautiful dream of life. And I'm just looking at these and I'm not a plant person. I'm not a nature person. I'm a complete cyborg. So this was like very like significant to me. And I was like, wow, life. Anyway, so that's one way you can read for yourself. Okay, and if I don't, because as the chat's heating up, if I don't get to a comment, just repost it. Thank you so much. I did a reading a few nights back with the same question. I pulled the Knight of Swords and Hangman then too. Whoa, you pulled the same cards. Thanks for the different perspective. You know, Hangman is badass. Hangman is like the unconventional nature of a person, but it's also the difficulty and the sacrifice and the surrender that kind of comes with that. So yeah, Hangman is badass. Hangman's very deep. It's the mother letter Hebrew Mem. You know, Mem is water. Aleph, Mem, and Shin are the mother letters that create everything. So it's a really deep card. You know, Crowley didn't like the Hangman, but that's where we have some creative differences. Okay, not the cyborg part though. Love this thinking, not the cyborg. I know it's really bad. Card of the day, week, month. Oh my fucking God, you can pull one for the year. Totally. Card of the day, week, month. Okay, Amber, let's do card of the day, week, month. Card of the day. Is this for you specifically, or is this for everyone? Card of the day is the 7 of Swords. I know we're going into some risky territory here. I'm definitely going to get into some risky territory if we start talking about 5D. I'm really obsessed with the Matrix and time lately, and the dance between time and eternity, and how the major arcana illustrate that. And I've been going through the Sefer Yetzirah and kind of like juggling some ideas. And Sefer Yetzirah is like one of those books where every time you read it, you read something you didn't read before. I swear, it's one of those mystical books. It's like the Book of Thoth. Like you read it and then it changes, and then you read it again and you're like, what? But yeah, we're going into some weird territory here. Speaking of unconventionality, we have the 7 of Swords. So that's card of the day. Card of the week is 10 of Pentacles. Ooh, being in the square. That's a card of the square. The love of my life always talks about the square versus the, well, I had the square versus circle idea. That comes from architecture, but also comes from like, I don't know, Greek philosophy or something, where circle is spirituality and square is like materiality. And he talks about the square as like the system and like civilization and the dark aspects of society. But this is participating in the square in the week. So this is participating in technology and money and systems and this in screens, literally the square, Black Mirror moment. And then card for the month is the Nine of Cups. Someone's getting pregnant on this chat. Just kidding. Maybe, who knows? Nine of Cups is chilling, relaxing, wish card. And then card of the year, generally, we're looking for at card of the year, we're looking at Ace of Pentacles. So that's cool. So we're going from the 10 of Pentacles to the Ace of Pentacles, which they're very related, as above, so below on the Tree of Life. So this is jumping back onto the top. So the 10 of Pentacles is in a way a fully realized reality of the Ace of Pentacles. All the 10s are like the excess, fully realized reality, fully crystallized possibility of the aces. So that's actually really nice. So reconnecting to our bodies, to our material world, to our relationship with money, value, efforts, priority, investments, but larger than just financial investments. That's going to be a big thing for the year. Okay, so I'm going to, am I really entering another dark night of the soul, or is it just I need to rest from increasing my vibration so greatly recently? Ooh, Julie, that's such a good question. Okay, so King of Cups is like you're coming back to the surface. King of Cups is our Lord of the Chariot of Water. So he's ascending from the depths of the water. And so I think you're coming back into this reality and you're integrating, and that's a good thing. And the beauty of the King of Cups is he has the water of the cups, but he has the air of the kings. So he can bring his emotional explorations, his spiritual explorations into society and lead with it and help people with it and communicate with it. So I think you're definitely integrating. Okay, so let's move forward with some class stuff. So yeah, Fran, so just to kind of review, looking at cards together, you can look at them as like one bit. Oh, a fun exercise, I think I got this from the Truth and Story, who's an awesome YouTuber, is you take a deck and you pull 3 cards and you just say one message, and then you pull 3 cards again, say one message. Hey, Travis, how you doing? And you just pull 3 cards and like read one message, and that's how you kind of see them holistically just at one moment. Cool. Now I have a question from Pedro. Pedro's asking, my question to you is, how do you actually start using the cards? I understand that there's a lot of things to be learned from them, but from a more practical level, what things should a complete beginner be doing in the tarot with the tarot cards? So I recommend for a beginner, like really have fun. And if you like to, I really recommend study. I like reading books. I recommend reading as much as you can, in the style that you want, that aligns with your goals. So if you're like me and you're interested in Kabbalah and all the esoteric stuff, like go down that wormhole. But if you want more specific divination stuff, there's a lot of books with that too. Go down the wormhole on the tradition you like as well. If you're RWS, if you're Thoth, if you're Marseille, if you're really cool and you're Marseille, you do that. But really have fun with it. And I mean that, I don't want to, this is kind of a weird thing to say, but don't take it so serious. Take it as seriously as you do life. Like take it seriously, but don't take it crazy seriously, because tarot is just life. It's 78 means of consciousness to play with, to engage, integrate, and organize reality and play with it. And it's all in here. That's big. It's a Yetziratic tool. Paul Foster Case says it's a Yetziratic tool. Yetzirah is the world of the mind, the blueprint before physical reality. The tarot is in here. So just like your relationship with yourself, like respect yourself, love yourself, but don't take yourself too seriously. Do that with tarot, and stay curious and approach it with enthusiasm. And also experiment and take notes. Try things and see what works for you, and like develop your practice and test it on people, test it on yourself. But the tarot is a tool for you. Don't become a tool for the tarot, like I always say, like angel numbers don't control you. Although lately, like don't be a slave to angel numbers. Like I promise, like the angels don't want you to be a slave to their numbers. Like they're just intelligences. I don't know. I'm not an angel expert. That's somebody else's live. Okay. I once had a tarot deck, but I lost temperance, and I found that as an omen. What could that mean? So temperance is like all types of moderation and balances, and it's the coolest thing about the temperance card is really our higher self. And though I'm starting to like talk about this more publicly, but whenever I work with someone, I always tell them like, you control your world. It's your choice. That there's no fate. There's nothing set in stone. You're an infinite being with infinite choice. But The Temperance card is like the higher self that knows exactly what's going on. And if there was a fate, if there was something set in stone, it would be the Temperance card. And I'm not talking about hard predeterminism here, but I am saying like the Temperance card is our higher self that's literally creating everything for all of our lessons and all of our experiences and all of our karma and everything that ultimately leads to hopefully new awareness and the supercomputer of the future. Just kidding. But yeah, so I kind of, yeah, it's like the future self is like actually like an AI supercomputer that's making sure it gets invented by manipulating time in the past. That's just a fun theory. I promise, I swear, it's just a fun theory. Or is it? But yeah, the higher self is like temperance. So temperance is internal balance, and it's like, it's also experimentation, it's exploration, it's Sagittarius. It's the balance that allows for the bike to ride really fast. So it's kind of like moving super fast and allowing, and how balance relates to speed and velocity. Like physically, but also, you know, when you're in the flow state, you're just moving, you're balanced, you're doing your thing. Oh, thank you so much, Xander. That's so sweet of you. Pedro, thanks for the insight, Joe. Yes, thank you for coming. Thanks for the question. That's such a good question. I just got a Thoth deck. Yes, Eddie, welcome to the dark side. Woo! Julie, you're the best. Eddie, seems that the justice system is broken right now. Maybe we should do a reading on that. I want to get a legal proceeding done. Will it end up hurting me? Ooh, that's a Okay, so this is a good question. So I can't give legal advice. I definitely can't give medical advice. I actually really can't give any advice. I mean, look at me. But I do have, I do curate ideas really well. So I can't really give you legal advice, but I can, but let me actually ask you to do this. Being that this is a tarot class, Eddie, I would recommend doing what I said before, having that question. I want to get a legal proceeding done, but will it be hurting me? So take your cards and say, if I choose this, what will that create? Pull a card. If I choose this, what will that create? But I want you to notice your body's reaction to the cards, and I want you to focus on your body too. That's a big thing. I'm trying to teach a lot too. Is like really connect with your body, rooting for yourself, divination, because the body won't lie, but the mind will lie to you all day long. Okay. Okay. Let's see. So I'm gonna keep moving forward. Let me just say, am I really entering the dark? Okay, I talked about that. Okay, let's move forward to the next thing. Do you guys want to learn a tarot technique? I think I might have. Yeah, this is a fun one. Okay, so being that I'm hyper fixated on time and the illusion of time and its dance with eternity, I want to teach something called the New Reality Tarot technique. And this is great for the new year. So what we're gonna do is, how do we want to do this? Let's take the modern way tarot. So the New Reality Tarot technique, the kind of philosophy, the theory behind it is that you're changing your future, but you're also changing your past. And because the past is a memory that's created in the present, and the future is a projection also created in the present. And so the idea here is we're not just shifting our futures, we're shifting our past. So we're gonna actually find. So this is how we do the technique. It's pretty fun. Everyone should try it, participate. So we're gonna look for the Fool and the World card, or the Fool and the Universe card. Where are these cards? Okay, we have the World card, and we have the Fool. Now I want to say that, do I want to talk about time yet and get weird? Not quite yet. Okay, so New Reality Tarot technique, we're gonna take the Universe card, and we're gonna take the Fool card. Now, again, we're working in the world of time. So the world of time is kind of an illusion, but so divination is kind of a part of that. It's like there's the world of time and there's eternity, but we're working in the world of time right now. Put a pin in that. We're going to come back to that later if you guys want me to get weird. Okay. So with New Reality Tarot technique, what you're going to do is you can ask any question, but the general question is what's the shift in my reality? So we're going to take the deck and you're going to focus on that question, and you're going to put the Universe card somewhere. Boop. And then you're going to take the Fool card and put the Fool card somewhere. And what you're going to do is you're going to shuffle the cards, focusing on your question. And you can say, what's the new reality? Or what new reality can I create? Or one of my favorite questions, what choice am I refusing that if I were choosing would change all reality and all non-reality and create more fun than the universe? And then when you're done shuffling, you're going to go through the cards and you're going to find the Fool and the World card. So we're going to look for the Fool and the World card. Okay, so I found the Fool, and what you're going to do is when you find the Fool, you're going to take the card before it and after it, and that's one part of the reading. So you're going to put the Fool card down in the middle of the card before it and after it. And then you're going to look for the World card. Oh, this is fun. And you're going to take the World card, and you're going to find the card before it and after it. You're going to put those three down. And this is your reading. So what's happening is the Fool is talking, the World card is talking about your old reality, the old way that you used to view the past and the old way you used to view the future, both of them being created in the present moment. So this is a present moment, but of an old reality. So my past was a Nine of Swords. Oh, girl, just calling my shit out right on this live. Okay. And so this was my old past, the Nine of Swords. And my old future was Four of Wands. It's like Sad Boys Club, get my shit together, have a party. Sad Boys Club, get my shit together, have a party. Very accurate. And then my new reality, you're going to take the Fool and you're going to look at the card behind it. My new reality is Seven of Discs, Lord of Failure, assessment of work, assessment of value, of efforts. And my new future is the Wheel of Fortune. So this kind of orients you in the present moment. It shows kind of new motivations, new places that you're approaching things, new past influences, new future possibilities. So instead of like focusing on when's the next party, focusing on the Wheel of Fortune, samsara, and the dance between time and eternity, which is what I'm totally going to talk about in a little bit. Cool. Does that make sense? Did anyone try it? That's an awesome way to do a reading. Thank you. Thank you, Amelie. Yeah, it's fun. I don't know. I haven't really done it for clients a lot. I've just kind of done it for myself, and it's experimental. I don't know how it would go with clients. Xander, this is great. Thanks for doing. Oh, okay. Let me go to chat one. Also means you need to buy more tarot decks. Definitely buy more tarot. Temperance is like the DJ sound mixer of life. Definitely the cosmic DJ. That nice crossfade. Fricka what? Okay. Shuffling now. Sagittariana. Woo. Okay. So any questions about that technique, method? Wow. Pulled 4 coin cards. Nice. Get that money work. Cool. So that's the new reality tarot technique. Let's see what else we have on the agenda. Divination in time. Do we want to get into that? I kind of want to. How to get the most out of the Celtic Cross. Let's do that first. Okay, so Jillian asked me how to get most out of the Celtic Cross. So I'm actually going to use... so yeah, let's talk about another technique. The famous Celtic Cross. I don't know where this one came from. I think it was Wade, but he probably got it from somewhere else. But the famous Celtic Cross. So this is a slide from my level 1 course. By the way, I'm doing a level 2 course in February, and we're going to go deep into the Kabbalah and the astrology, and it's going to be the shit. So if you're interested in that, if you want to apply to that, that link is in the YouTube live, or you can go to tarotmysticismacademy.com and hit Advanced Tarot and apply that way. But it's going to be 8 classes plus a one-on-one session with me. Well, there's 2 one-on-one sessions with me, and it's going to really upgrade your tarot to the next level. If you're interested in Kabbalah, astrology, advanced methods, the Thoth deck is going to be a big thing. We're doing Thoth deck and Rider-Waite-Smith. It's going to be big. I'm really excited. But yeah, so let's talk about this Celtic Cross situation. I'll have a little Celtic Cross moment. So yeah, the Celtic Cross is banging. Like, I don't know why people don't like the Celtic Cross. It's like, it's very like, it's just useful. It just like covers so many bases. And the magic of the Celtic Cross is actually when you start to see the relationships between the cards. So Fran, when you asked the question about reading multiple cards, and you were in my level 1, so you know this, but this is where it hits. So we do the Celtic Cross, and if you don't know the Celtic Cross, I'll go over it really quick. You have your card number 1 right here, which is like your main situation. Your crossing card is like what you have to overcome. Your third card is like unconscious influences, the root of the matter. Card behind you, there's what's behind you, the past. Card on top of you, your focus, what's conscious to you. Card in front of you, what's in the near future, immediate future. And then you have you, yourself, and your conception of yourself. Then you have friends and family and environment. Then you have hopes and fears. Hopes or fears is the big one. And then you have final result. So the card is great because it's hard to remember. It is, yeah, there's a lot of stuff. But after you practice it for a while, and actually this is going to help you remember, because this model is like, I don't know, I'm a very visual person. Everything to me is visual. So this helps me kind of remember. But pretty much imagine the person is facing the right I'm going to, you know, if you're in the West, you read left to right. So it makes sense. So they're facing the right. So very simple. This is what's under them unconsciously. This is what's over them in their heads, what they're thinking about. This is what's behind them in the world of time, where they're coming from. And this is what's ahead of them. And the card that's on its side is an obstacle because it's on the side. The card fell. I don't know. And they have to jump over it. And that's this whole thing. And that's pretty much the world of time. Now, these 4 cards are kind of just like other little stats on the side. And we have like how this card is how the person sees themselves. And all these cards have relationships. So the card here, this person is looking at card number 9. Card number 9 is their motivations, is what they hope to happen and what they fear. This is the Wheel of Fortune. This is attraction and aversion. This is important. So this is a big one. And all these cards affect each other. So the way that the person sees themselves in in card number 7 affects the type of people that they attract in their environment, number 8. And when you attract a certain type of people, there's psychological studies on this. You will attract the people that affirm the way that you see yourself. There's a bunch of studies on this. So there's a huge relationship between 7 and 8. So 8 affects how you see yourself, which affects further how you attract people. It's an infinite loop. It's a feedback loop, social, psychological feedback loop. And then 8, the people around you, remember we were talking about psychic picking up on other people's desires and ideas, that will affect your hopes and your fears. And your hopes and your fears will also draw people with similar hopes and fears, or, you know, it'll draw similar energy. So that affects each other. And of course, your hopes and fears affect the final outcome. Your unconscious influences will affect what happens in the near future. And so is where you're conscious, what you're thinking about consciously will affect. So they all affect each other. So that's how you can use the Celtic Cross. And when I used to use the Celtic Cross a lot when I was younger, and that the big strength of it was seeing all the cards together and integrating them all. And I would still go through each card and like dig into it. But that here you start to notice patterns. You start to see the bigger picture. You start to zoom out and see the whole maze. Can you also relate the well or ill-dignified card relations? Since we're using the Celtic Cross, I'm stuck on being able to look at cards' relationships to one another in a reading. This is a good question. Can you also relate okay, go to ill-dignified card relations. So dignities, to me, the way I look at dignities is more Thoth deck elemental dignities, and that's kind of its own thing. And that has to do with like how the relationship between the elements. So fire and water don't get along, air and earth don't get along. But generally if I honestly wouldn't use elemental dignities in the Celtic Cross. I think they're kind of different things. Because the dignities are really when you're looking at an entire string of cards, if you're doing like opening of the key, and you're seeing all the relationships and how they affect each other. It's more of like what's it called? What am I trying to say? Like not a galaxy, but like a constellation of different things affecting different things with gravity and like relationship. So it's like, and you're doing a little jump thing. So it's different. Celtic Cross is more of like a spread. It's like the cards are laid down in this way. You could use elemental dignities if you want. It doesn't fit in my mind. But if you're using reversals, you can totally do that. I'm going to try the Celtic Cross reading tomorrow. Yeah, it's a good one. Celtic Cross, I really think is another reading you can just leave out for a few days, maybe a week, and just like sit with it for a bit. But if you do use dignities, like, yeah, you can do it. You can say like, okay, if you have the Ace of Swords and then it's crossed by like the 5 of Discs, then it says, okay, you have a great idea, but you just don't have the financial support to make it happen, for example. And that 5 of Discs crossing it could really weaken that Ace of Swords idea, just as an example. I love the diagram. I haven't seen a visual like this. You should use it when you write a book. Oh, thank you, Linda. Yes, there are things happening. Hopefully, we'll see. Who knows? But yeah, all of these diagrams, by the way, are from my courses and stuff. And we just finished my level 1 course yesterday. So if anyone's interested in taking that, let me know. It's pre-recorded now. Let's talk about, should we get weird now, or should we stay on tarot, or should we get weird? I'm going to ask both chats. I haven't done the Celtic Cross in years. Thanks for inspiring me to try it again. Oh, yay. What do you mean in terms of the old future? Okay, High Magic 2. What do you mean in terms of the old future? So it's kind of like what we're thinking about, where our mind is. You know, I'm always thinking about like the future and what I'm going to create next. and how it's kind of like what's the motivation, where the focus is at. So it's like where you're looking is where you're going, you know. It's like when you're driving, hopefully you're looking in the direction you're going. I don't always do that, but let's get weird, Boppy. Yes, Evelyn. Okay, let's get weird. Yes, Danielle. Okay, so let's get a little weird, and then we'll come back to tarot, and then weird all the way. Okay, so I was going through. We'll do some weird stuff, then we'll come back to tarot, and then I'll finish, and then we'll go into numerology, and then we'll go into the other questions that I have. Lots of questions and stuff. So, how do we want to? Okay, so, spoiler, maybe soft spoiler alert. Okay, I won't talk about Matrix 4, but I will reference Matrix 1. So the Matrix movies are like just. The Matrix is the best documentary in the whole damn world. And honestly, every human being should just watch it at least 100 times. It's like the Wachowski sisters are freaking brilliant. And I don't know, some alien god sent them into our reality to grace us with some deeper knowledge. Maybe not. But I just think they're so amazing. So I'm watching The Matrix and I'm reading the Sefer Yetzirah, so you know it's going to be wild. And I'm reading it and I'm looking at this stuff about 5D. And I've never really understood like why people are talking about 5D so much. Because I'm like, aren't we in 4D? Or aren't we getting out of 3D into 4D? But anyway, I started reading in 1.5. The Sefer Yetzirah talks about the 5 dimensions. And it says the 10 Sephirot of nothingness. I'm talking about Kabbalah and the Tree of Life. So there's 10. Let me just pull this up. Just quick review. And if you're interested in this stuff, I talk about this stuff in all my courses. So hit me up and we will get into this stuff. But Tree of Life is just a model of the universe, consciousness. You can organize reality into it. It's very beautiful. There's lots of stuff you can do, but caution, beware. So the Tree of Life, so we're looking at Sefer Yetzirah, and it says the 10 Sephirot of nothingness, void, 0 equals 2, 0 equals +1 minus 2, that's a curly reference. Their measure is 10, which have no end. So the idea is these 10 Sephirot are 10 aspects of reality that emanate from the source, emanate from God, emanate from the architect of the Matrix, I don't know. But they're 10 spheres of that manifest. So this stuff is emanation. The idea of emanation, this stems from Plato and probably before that. Plato said everything in reality is a grosser manifestation of something ideal. So there's all these trees, but they're just low like degradations of this ideal perfect tree that all trees stem from. That's the idea here. So there's an ideal above, and then as we go down, there's more material, more complication, more elaboration, more fractalization, as above, so below. So we tie in the Hermetics here. Hermeticism, Kabbalah, they were all hanging out in Alexandria, I think. I mean, I wasn't there personally, but so I've read. Okay, cool. So these 10 Sephirot are infinite. So they are extremes, but they don't end. They're infinitely in every direction. And when you do like magical work, like Lester, when you do the Kabbalistic cross, you're going infinitely from above, Ate, infinitely down below, Malkuth, infinitely to the right, infinitely to the left. Oh, look, we're doing some Christian shit. Oh my God, trigger warning. But no, it's all remix. We're just remixing. But yeah, Kabbalistic cross is infinitely in all directions. I'm not getting into that now, but generally remember before in the beginning of this whole live, in this beginning of this whole class, I answered the question, how do you connect with yourself to give yourself good readings and connect with your higher self? And I said, expand infinitely in all directions. This is a big thing. This infinity thing, I really don't mean it poetically. I mean it literally, like try to find the edges of your mind. So the Sephirot go in infinite directions. And in 1.5 of Sefer Yetzirah, it says, a depth of beginning, a depth of end, a depth of good, a depth of evil, a depth of above, a depth of below, a depth of east, a depth of west, a depth of north, a depth of south, the singular master God, faithful king. Okay, so we're looking at 5 dimensions, and we're looking at the 3 dimensions of space, right? Above, below, east, west, north, south. And then we're looking at a dimension of time, beginning and end. And then we're looking at a dimension of spirituality, good and evil. I never understood why 4D was time, but I know some people, and I'm not a physicist, I'm not a theorist, I'm not any, I actually have a physicist downstairs. I have to get him on the call maybe. That would be really, really cool. Brilliant particle physicist. Maybe I'll ask him. That would be so cool. No, we got to plan for that. That's going to be a deep one. So Steve, if you're watching, we have to do some live stuff. Steve worked at like a particle accelerator, super badass. Anyway, So if the 4D is time, and for our purposes, let's just assume it is, because at the end of the day, I'm not saying literally 4D is time, but for this idea, we're going to play with it. 4D is time. So 4D is time, is 5D is spirituality. So here's where things get weird. I'm going to actually post I edited a video on this exact topic, but I kind of want to go into it now because it's really interesting. A dimension experiences itself from a dimension underneath it. So a line, and this book actually goes into how, like, at one point it says, like, the dimension is measured by the dimension underneath it, or it doesn't say that exactly, but the idea is if you're a line, you're going to experience yourself as a point. So you're going to go through life. Oh my God, we're a line. We're experiencing ourselves. Oh my God, we're going to die. We're going to die. We're going to die. What's going to happen? And then you zoom out and realize it's a plane, and the line is still there. And then the line goes through the plane to experience itself. Because you got to read the book Flatland to understand this stuff. It's really weird. If we lived in a 2D world, we wouldn't see it like a screen, because then we would be out of the 2D. If we're in a 2D world, we're only seeing lines because we're flat in the 2D world. Does everyone get that? It's kind of weird. Hey, Treasures of Plants. We're talking about dimensions, and Sephiroth's here now. We're doing the weird part of the live. So if we lived in a 2D plane, we would only experience it as a line. And so you would experience until the end of life, and we'd be like, oh my God, we're going to die. But we don't, because then we zoom out into the 3D, which is kind of where we are, right? And we're experiencing ourselves as 3D, and we're going through life. Well, we're in 4D, we're in time. So we're 5D, but 3D, you have all these different shapes, and the shapes are experiencing themselves. So a shape, let's say a cube. Let's use this. So we have this, it's not a cube, but you have a cube. It's going to experience itself as a plane. The plane goes through the whole cube, and then at the end, it's not going to die. It's actually going to go into the world of time, which is where we are, in quotes. In the world of time, we have a life, and then we die, right? And we go through the world of time, through our life, until we get to the end, right? And we're like, holy shit, we're going to die. Oh my God, what's going to happen? And then we zoom out and go into the world of spirit, that 5D, whatever that mysterious fifth dimension is. And we realize that even time still exists. Does that make sense? It's so crazy. I really went down the wormhole last night, and I rushed to film this video because I don't know how much longer I'm going to understand this stuff. I don't know. Maybe it already exists, but I don't know. It's wild. And every mystical text and their mother talks about the relationship between time and eternity. William Blake, Eternity in an Hour. Like the Vedas talk about it. A Course in Miracles. Like the world of time is the world of ego. And what you have to get here is that the dimension under our current dimension is how we split up the higher dimension. So the way that we measure a line is in points. The way we measure a plane is in lines. The way we measure a cube is in planes. The way we measure the next thing, the time, is through space. The capacity for the mind to discriminate and orient itself in space, so that I can look at this camera and say, oh, this is the camera, and it's not a Joe, and I'm a Joe. Good thing I'm a Joe. Good thing that's a camera. Unless we're the same thing. Oh my God. So we orient ourselves, that we divide time through space, and then time is used to divide the 5D, which is this infinite spirit ? Weird thing. Does that make sense? And if you draw out, like, and I don't know how accurate this is, but you can draw out the dimensions like in hypercubes and stuff. And when you look at a 5D hypercube, it has 32 apexes, I believe, or like angles. And there are 32 paths on the tree of life. Whoa. And I believe there are 32 nerve endings or units on the spine, on the spinal cord. And plus 33 is the brain. And there are 33 years of Jesus Christ's life. But maybe these are just a bunch of fun ideas. Who knows? But yeah, so that's what I've been getting weird with. And like escaping the matrix is getting out of the world of time, because suffering comes in the world of time, right? Depression is holding on to the past, thinking about the past. Anxiety is worrying about the future. Time creates the ego. It's like It's all stuff about time. And really, this stuff is not like, I'm not trying to be like, oh, this is what's up. Like, this stuff is written about in a lot of different traditions and different voices. And I'm just kind of connecting the dots and playing with it and curating the ideas for you. Okay, any like thoughts on that? Let's see. Let me check chat number 1. Oh, we have some new people here. So yeah, so that's some Sephri Yatsira. Full of knowledge as usual. Thank you so much, Christina. You are looking fantastic. Thank you, Christina. Weird is right. Oh, weird is you're saying you chose to go through the weird. Okay, yeah, it's weird. Weird is also WYRD, which is the if we're talking about Viking, like Northern Scandinavian weird, it's actually fate. Maybe we'll do like a runes class one day. You're a Joe original. Camera is just a copy because she jealous. Thanks, Julie. That makes so much sense. A great explanation too. Thank you, Sagittariana. Visualize mega zoomed out, like if you're on a highway, you can only see so far up the road. But if you're removed from time, you can see the whole road at once. 5D. Yeah. 33 rocks. Yeah, 33 is where it's at. Okay, so we got a little weird. And if you're interested in Kabbalah and astrology, I'm going to talk about my course for a sec because I'm so excited for this damn course. It starts February 2nd. Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. It's 8 classes, and you're going to get a one-on-one session with me. And I'm really excited for this because I'm taking Kabbalah, astrology, and other systems and weaving it into the Rider-Waite-Smith and the Thoth deck. And it's pretty much everything you need to know to start studying the Thoth deck. And yeah, it's going to be wild. So if you're interested, if you want to really upgrade your practice, you can apply. The link is on my YouTube on this live to tarotmysticismacademy.com/advanced tarot. These courses are pretty dense. I am starting to organize them better and not overload with information. My first course I ever did was information overload, but they are very dense. They are live, and you can take them pre-recorded as well. So if you can't make the time, hit me up and we can arrange something, but you can definitely take it pre-recorded. But the live is really where it's at. And I have to say, the coolest thing about doing these courses is the people. And that's honestly the best thing. That's the best thing about them. We have an international community. We're in all different countries, and everyone is so freaking sick. And so, I mean, in a good way, not, I mean, we're all sick, but like so smart and just like kind and like into it. And it's like, it creates an energy, and that's really where the magic is. Everyone is coming from like different expertise and different experience levels, and everyone is perfectly just the right amount of weird and just the right amount of like smart and inspiring. And yeah, my students inspire me all the time, and I wouldn't still be doing these courses if it wasn't for the student body. So yeah, if you're interested in doing that, definitely apply. It's going to be really cool. And when you apply, we'll meet, we'll talk about stuff, we'll talk about you. The way I build my course, the courses that I build are not like online courses where here's the course, good luck, and you just take it. Like I'm gonna talk with you, and I'm gonna take everybody's like goals and build the course out of that. Like I have a general structure of what this course is going to be, but I really want to like build it for the group, and I think that's why the courses are so much fun. But yeah, so if check in with your intuition. If it's something that feels light to you, go to tarotmysticismacademy.com/advanced tarot. It's perfect for the new year. It's going to be really wild, and I'm really going to be giving like the esoteric tarot stuff that's like not in as many books as, I mean, it's definitely in books. Like everything's written in books, but it's going to be fun. There's going to be a lot of slides. There's going to be a lot of practice sessions, experimentation. And then it's going to be Thoth deck, definitely Thoth deck and Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And I think I'm not quite sure, but I believe after the level 2, I'm going to do level 3 again, which is the Thoth Tarot Master Course. But I want to potentially revamp it, or maybe I think I might do something where it's the course, but it's the course time is practice, and you'll get the lecture, because the lecture takes a long time. And I mean, I'll be lecturing for like an hour and a half, 2 hours and more. So I might and if you're interested in taking, you can take Thoth Tarot Master Course now, by the way. You can take it pre-recorded. It's a ton of information. I have a few different courses. So yeah, if you're interested in it, tarotmysticismacademy.com. There's limited spots. And you know what I'm going to do? If you're on this live right now and you're feeling it and it feels light to you, then, and you apply and like you put in your application today, then I will give you a free Going Pro Psychic Success class. which is pre-recorded. So going pro psychic success is like everything you need to know to start reading professionally or just reading better and more confidently for other people. So if you want that free thing, apply today. Okay, let's continue with our stuff. So does anyone have any questions before I continue through the questions that people sent me previously? So we talked about some weird divination and time. Oh, I actually want to talk about the world of time a little bit too. So divination, I want to talk about divination because my relationship with tarot continues to change, and I love divination. And I want to preface this by saying I love divination. I do it all the time. I think it's amazing. It's fun. It can be very healing. It can be very insightful. It's amazing. But I have definitely put divination to the side as I begin to prioritize more the weirder kind of mystical aspects of tarot. Not to say one is more important than the other. It's just like where I'm at and what I'm interested in. But I think the thing with divination, I'm going to make a video about this too, is that divination is working in the world of time. And there's most clients that consult divination want to be in the world of time. Meaning they're going to ask questions like, what is going to happen? They're going to ask yes, no questions. They're going to want to look at the future. And that's totally valid. And I love those. And I love giving predictions. It's so much fun. But knowing that that exists, and then there's a layer outside of the world of time that the tarot is hinting at. And whether the tarot, who knows if it stems from, Atlantis or Egypt or Pleiadian space penguins, or maybe it's just unconsciously encrypted in the cards, which maybe I kind of believe it is. The tarot's working with these like hermetic, Kabbalistic, very, very lofty ideas that completely send me, to be honest, like completely send me to outer space. I'm like, oh, what? Like when I was reading the stuff yesterday and I was thinking about these 5 dimensions and how we exist in a dimension before and all this stuff, I'm like, this is it. This is because the ideas and the realizations, it's very existential. It's literally, it's like groundbreaking. Space penguins love it. Yeah. And that's kind of my goal for my level 2 class. I mean, we're definitely going to dig into divination and predictions and all of that, but that's generally more my goal, I think, with Tarot Mysticism Academy, because I mean, divination too. I don't know. I go back and forth. But yeah, so operating in the world of time. And that's what I mean. In the beginning of the video, we started talking about 1 foot on land and 1 foot on water and balancing the two and having that dance. So I still have 1 foot on land, right? I'm still with you. but really digging into that watery aspect of things and really digging into the contemplative, mystical aspects of things and asking those really difficult questions like, what are we doing here? I ask myself that every day, and with curiosity, not like an existential crisis. Well, sometimes an existential crisis. I have a little existential crisis moment in the morning. It's cute, very on brand for me. I tried that tarot reading, and my Fool was very dark. Okay, cool. I'm glad that you said that. So when you're doing the new reality technique, and you have a Fool and you have some dark cards, and that leads to another listener question that I want to get to. So every card is positive and negative, even though there's totally shitty cards. There's totally cards we don't want to get. There's a positive charge to all of it. And sometimes it's like, sometimes the beauty of getting a negative card is the moment when you can integrate it and accept it and start to heal from it. So for example, the Devil card shows up. Oh my God. But when the Devil card shows up, that is the tug of the chains that allows you the opportunity to take the chains off. It's actually really beautiful. And in some ways, this is what I tell when people ask me, like, what if I get bad cards in a tarot reading? In some ways, getting bad cards in a reading is actually more, sometimes more valuable because you can see what's holding you back and you can make the changes. But yeah, what cards can you get? And I can kind of maybe dig into it a little bit. Runes are a map of life. Hell yeah. The Message in the Runes is a great book. I have to read that one. I'm on that. I want to learn use Thoth tarot in my magic. Ooh, Julie, yeah, definitely schedule time with me. Go to the site and we'll talk. It's definitely going to be very appropriate for that. Amber, yes, I'm looking forward to chatting with you. So definitely schedule that thing. And if you guys aren't on my mailing list and you want to be, just shoot me an email at joe@tarotwithjoe.com and I'll make sure you're on the list. We're all threads in the tapestry of the creator. Definitely we are. Oh, thanks, Amber. 33 rocks. Okay. But yeah, check in with that, and let me know what cards you got, and we can like dig into them. Because sometimes they can be like good things, and but yeah, but like I said, like sometimes the hardships of, and this is why I love the tarot, and this is why I love the tarot specifically as opposed to certain divination systems, dot dot dot. It's life sucks sometimes. Sometimes there's pain, and the pain is beauty, because you need the pain so you could get your hand out of the fire. And it's sometimes in the moments, some of my moments in life where I felt the most alive was in the suffering, the exact opposite extreme of the bliss. You have the wheel of fortune where you're trying to go up, and then the aversion and the suffering where you're going down. Some of those is like, that's kind of the point. It's like you feel so freaking alive in both of those extremes. New past, Four of Cups, Fool, new future, Seven of Pentacles. Oh, okay. Seven of Pentacles for the future is cool. It's like reevaluating, like the new future. That could be an intention of like a motivation to really check in. Do I really want to do this? Is this really true for me? Is this really where my energy and efforts and money should go? That can be totally cool. Old past is the Four of Cups. So Four of Cups is luxury. Yeah, it could be boredom, but it can also be safety, security. It could also be comfort. Could be emotional stability. So it could be coming from a place of safety and, chill, Netflix and chill moment, and then going into a place of Seven of Discs, Seven of Pentacles, which is evaluation. And but the sevens are good. Sevens are all a little bit of a struggle because they have to do with the individual versus kind of everything else in the world. But it's also beautiful. Feels almost like shadow work. Oh, totally. Oh, shadow work is the shit. My favorite thing is when I go into a reading like a hard truth layout, and then I wind up clearing some karmic debt and coming out feeling elated. Yeah, the karmic debt is. I mean, yeah, the whole tarot is talking about the methods and the engines behind karma and how they shift and affect reality and all this stuff. Especially the Justice card. Okay, it's already 2:00, and I need to get through more stuff. So we covered a lot of stuff already, but I do have some specific listener questions that hit me up before, so I want to go into those. So we talked about Celtic Cross reversals. Really quick on reversals. Reversals are either a step back, a delay, sometimes the opposite meaning of the card. Sometimes if you want to be cute, you can be like, well, if it's reversed and the gravity is pulling the thing, what would it create? What would the meaning be? I don't really do that, but it could be fun. I also see the reversals as like a gear shift. So when you're like speeding along your path and your ambition, and then you get a reverse card, it's like it is through that card that you slow down to speed back up again. I think that's actually a Joe original. I've never really said that before, but I think that's a good way of view. I don't really use reversals, to be honest. If anything, I use elemental dignities, and I don't use them all the time. Okay, I want to talk about Tanya asked me about organizing the majors in a really cool way. So we're going to talk about that. Hey, Mag. Hello, love. You just missed the weird part. We were talking about 5 dimensions and some really cool stuff. But okay, we're going to talk about numerology in the tarot. I had an amazing person ask me this question. Organizing the majors numerologically. So if you have 1, and then you have the Wheel of Fortune number 10, which reduces to 1, and then you have like the Sun, 19, 9 plus 1 is 10, reduces to 1. So first I want to say that Ruth Ann and Wald Amberstone have an entire course, I believe, on birth cards, and this is what they use for the birth cards. And I haven't taken it, but from what I've read about it, it's brilliant. They have this really cool way of looking at it where the cards actually create a spectrum of energy, and depending on your birth number, like for example, so for like Devil and Lover's card, like if you're a 6, then this would be your spectrum, and your life exists on the spectrum of Lovers going into the Devil card, and within that there's a frequency that you can operate in and do all this stuff. So this is not that. This is just my thoughts on the numerology of the majors and how you can play with it. But it's a very deep. It sounds like a really deep course. Okay. So the numerology of the majors. So we have the Magician, the Wheel of Fortune, and the Sun. So this is all the number 1. So these 3 cards are really about kind of like manipulating energy, life force, spontaneity, and being in the flow state, being in the centripetal flow of doing and operating and like letting things flow and letting things fly. I do flow arts. So speaking of flow arts, hi Vag. Vag and I spin fire sometimes. It's really beautiful. My cosmic lover. So this is kind of like, the magician is like consciousness itself and focus and literally attention and everything that attention can do, including magic. The Wheel of Fortune is the laws that include that, but also go beyond that, or rather a manifestation of that in the material world, in the cyclical effects of the mind, mental periodicity, going up, going down, going up, going down, the law of rhythm, the law of polarity. And the Sun card is integrating that in a blissful flow, pretty much. So that's how I see these cards. I'm going to kind of speed through these because it's already been an hour. Then we have number 2. We have the High Priestess, we have the Justice card, and we have Judgment. So what I kind of view behind this is the Priestess and the Justice card are very connected. I don't remember if it was weight that connected them or Paul Foster Case, but and if you're just joining now, we're talking about numerology and the majors. But I think they're talking about causality in 2 different ways. The Priestess is talking about the causality of the threshold of the mysteries, literally occultism and esotericism, but I mean specifically the causality of like the subconscious mind and the collective unconscious as it pours into this reality and how we're all connected to it. Whereas the Justice card talks about the causality of karma and how that subconscious and conscious mind create like some sort of feedback loop, and there's always action and reaction. And the way that I view karma is like not necessarily consequential, like past life stuff. I view it like nanosecond neurons firing. Like, because I have a thought, my body does a thing, and then I stub my toe, all because I had a negative thought. Like, it literally happens instantly. So it's the relationship between the causality of the known unknown flowing into the known and the causality of karma. And this is like the bridge between the worlds in some way. This is just one interpretation of it. We have a judgment as like being called into another dimension. So that's how I would look at these cards. There's definitely more ways. There's ideas of spiritual respiration, the exhale and the inhale of raising your vibration and lowering your vibration. I've seen with the Justice card, and that's related to the High Priestess, being that she's the gatekeeper of the mysteries. Okay, but that's a little bit of a stretch. Let's keep going. You know what? We should do a whole live on this, honestly, and we can really dig into it. I always pull 4 of Cups after I restock my fridge. I love that. Feel almost like shadow work. Okay. And if you guys have any specific questions, if you guys are live, so put it in chat, and I will definitely try to get to it. Oh, this is the best one. Okay, so this is the superstructure of the Tarot and the universe. We're looking at Empress, Hangman, and the World card. So the number 3. Number 3 is big. We have 3 supernals. We have 3 ingredients in alchemy. We have 3 modes in astrology. By the way, all numbers are important. There's no number better than the other. But 3, let me just contradict myself, is very important. We love a 3 moment. If you really want to go down the wormhole with the number 3, especially in relationship to the number 4 and the number 2, read Transcendental Magic by Eliphas Levi. I'm still hacking away at that. One day I'll finish it. Okay, so we're looking at the Empress, which is Gaia, Mother Earth, everything. And the Hangman is actually the baby of the Empress. This is mom, this is the child. And the universe is kind of everything wrapped up, them both included in the universe, kind of. So let's look at this. So we have the universe, which is 21, which reduces to 3. When we reverse those digits, 21, we get 12, which is the Hangman, which, oh my God, look at that. They're literally kind of well, not the same, but they have a very similar posture. Her torso is creating a different direction triangle, which is significant, the above and the below. But we have a cross here, and then we have a cross here. The cross is a reference to the Hebrew letter Tav, which is also T, which is also the T on the tree that he's hanging from. He's literally hanging from the tree, which is the world, which is the Tav. There's also something called the Tav or the Tau cross, which is a Greek symbol, which is literally, this is the Tau cross. And it's like the end of the line, the omega, the finality, the world. So he is descending from the world, but he's also descending from the Empress. And they're all kind of talking about the similar thing. More fun stuff. When you take the cross, which is 4, the number 4, right? The cross is 4, plus the 3 sides of the 3 points of the triangle, which his torso is making, you get the number 7. The number 7 is the number of Venus, which is our Empress. When you take 3 times 4, you get the number 12, which when you reverse 12, the digits, you get 21, the World card. So this is all talking about we could go into this a lot, but what we're playing with is the Hanged Man is us suspended, not really, I mean, having control, but not, this is where I have to be like a little bit sneaky. Having control, but not really having control descending from the Empress, which is the doorway of life, which is the cosmic vagina. That's just what she is. Beautiful, divine, and perfect, where we literally all come from. Unless you're me and you were born in a test tube. Because I'm a cybermancer. When you come from the Empress, we're all descending out of the Empress, but we're all part of the world. So that's just talking about the cosmic motherhood and where everything is taking part. This is also the world of time. So this is being kind of suspended between the world of eternity and the world of time. I keep going. See how my mind works? I'm very hyper fixated on the relationship between time and eternity. So I'm just going to keep talking about that shit. If you're coming in now and you missed and you wanted the weird stuff, check the replay, because we go into the Sefer Yetzirah and the 5 dimensions and getting out of the world of time. But yeah, so this is the superstructure of the tarot. Everything fully realized in its full crystallization, in its full perfection, including all the horror and glory of life, is in the World card, which is the reverse position of the Hanged Man. Okay, let's move on. More numerology stuff. Let's talk about number 4. So we have 13, which reduces to 4. So we have Emperor and the Death card. So Emperor is like rulership and intensity in the self. This is the birth of the self, really. Death card is the death of the self. Very simple. This is like, I mean, the Emperor is like law and governing and all that shit and politics and rigidity, but it's literally more deeply, it is the self as we know the self being created throughout the majors. This is the first moment when there's a self, kind of like an ego. Maybe not quite an ego yet, but I would say this is an ego card, but in a good way. Death is the death of that. These are my birth cards. So then we have Hierophant and the Temperance card. So Hierophant, this is all about the relationship between the internal and the external. So the Hierophant, what the Hierophant does is it creates an external reality to provoke an internal experience. The Temperance card creates an internal reality to provoke an external experience. This is shown by the sun, which is on Michael's forehead. And where the sun should be over the mountain is a crown figure. So we're talking about Jungian psychology and synchronicity and the very thin line between the internal and the external world here, and how that is constantly the feedback loop between the internal and the external world. Whereas the Hierophant card is kind of more, maybe in a way, manufacturing that, or at least, I know it's like the same thing. It's just a different extreme. It's starting with the external world, bringing it into the internal world, where it starts in the internal, goes to the external. Taurus and Sagittarius, having a great time. Yeah, that's pretty much that. So I would say this is like learning from tradition and stuff and out in the outside world, and this is kind of like learning from within, but there's always this balancing act going on. Different ways of teaching, different ways of maybe like ascending learning. Let's continue. What do we have next? The lovers and the devil. I can't talk. I'm going to start speaking in tongues soon. That's usually what happens at this time. So the lovers and the devil. So very simple, before the fall, after the fall. That's one simple interpretation of it. But more deeply, it's actually, these cards are talking about, remember before how I was talking about the mind and its capacity to divide space to organize reality, or divide time, how the mind uses time to divide consciousness, and how the mind uses space to divide time, and how the mind uses planes to divide cubes, and lines to divide planes, and all that. All of that is the capacity of the Lovers card. The Lovers card is the engine of creation through separation. And the result of that on the extreme is the Devil card, which isn't bad inherently. It's just matter, matter. Alan Watts talks about this beautifully. He talks about how matter is etymologically connected to words like meter and measurement. So the world of matter is the way that my mind can measure what things are. Maybe it's all a projection. That's like a side quest into phenomenology, maybe, which I'm totally not ready to go to, but who knows? Notice the other day how Jungian the Star Wars movies are. Ooh, can you tell me about that? Mind blown, having control but not hung up on outcomes. Yeah, I was just reading something about Bashar, this channeled being, about like following your excitement but not having an assumption or an expectation on the result. And this stuff is like, we know this stuff. It's 2021. It's just the laws of creation. Let me check chat before I keep going down these numbers. Okay, cool. So let's finish these numbers. We have the Chariot and the Tower card. Okay, this one's a deep one, and This one I'm actually going to see if you guys know, because I don't have all the information behind this, but the chariot is connected to something called the House of Influence, which I believe is this esoteric idea that everyone's personality and being is a vessel for divine energy to flow through. But the Tower card is actually called the House of God. So this may or may not connect to the Tower of Babel, but it's connected to like the House of God as destroying this house, which is the Tower of False Science. So there are two houses here. There's these two cards of the 7, 16, which reduces to 7. We're looking at the idea of a container of sorts. He's contained in his chariot, and he's defending a city that is contained by a wall. The tower is obviously contained but being destroyed. So this is like defending something, and this is that thing being destroyed. But maybe two extremes of one reality, or maybe two levels of awareness. This is that sense of personal identity and how the personality is the vehicle for the soul. This is the complete destruction of that personality. The universe is like, here, have a mind. Here, have a personality. Here, have a body. Just kidding. None of that shit exists, right? It really trolls you. Notice the other day how the whole duality of the dark and side and the light side of the force. How we get closer. This is where Julie's talking about Star Wars and Jungian psychology. How we get closer to the dark, the more we operate out of fear. Like Anakin was so afraid of losing Padme that he was susceptible to the Dark Lord. The tighter he held on, the more everything fell apart. Ooh, I love that. Yeah, that's the tea. That really is the tea. Then we have 8 and 7. Thank you for explaining that to me. That is, yeah, that's I love that. But I love grasping. Like there's the Buddhist term dukkha, which is suffering, but literally translates to something more like grasping. I love grasping. It's like the Wheel of Fortune. By the way, the Wheel of Fortune, which we'll get to in a second. No, we already went to cover the Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune is connected to is the Hebrew letter kaf, which means palm of the hand or hand, the hand that grasps. But grasping is so fun because it's like you're on the wheel of samsara, burning away your karmic calories, hopefully. Anywho, we're at number 8 right now. So we're looking at 17 and 8, which is strength and the star. To me, this is like hard strength and soft strength, or different forms of strength and different, I would say like different ways to approach and control energy, whereas this is kind of controlling energy within, controlling like creative and sexual energy within, but this is taking that energy and starting to project it outwards in a direction, in a hope, in a goal, in a vision. That's how I would look at these two. And then the last one, we have 9 and 18. This is a deep one. So I would say that 9 and 18 is the relationship between connecting to yourself as an organism, as a human, versus connecting to your relationship with all ecology and evolution. So your evolution, because the moon card is all about the evolutionary past, our ancestors and beyond, literally maybe to the Big Bang. And then the Hermit is like within. So I think these are two super cosmic cards. I mean, we could also look at the Hermit as like he's a psychopomp. He's traveling between worlds. He's elevated. He's ascending in his awareness and going in different worlds. And the Moon card is also a threshold of sorts, going between worlds, going between different states of consciousness, from single-celled organisms all the way up to, conscious human brains that can build towers and shit. So I think this is both these cards about going between worlds and uncovering an awareness, going into the dark, and speaking of shadow work and stuff. Please forgive me. I'm sorely lacking in anyone to talk about all this stuff to. Julie, oh my God, then email me. I'll talk about this stuff all day long. Definitely get on my mailing list and hit me up and let's connect. I would love to chat about this stuff. I mean, generally going into the new year, I've never been this busy in my whole life. So I'm definitely going to be crazy busy, but I'll definitely get back to you ASAP. But I would love to like geek out with you on this stuff. So that's the numerology of the majors. Lots of fun stuff you can do with that. Let's see, we're at 2:17, and I always go over time without fail. Is Chris here? Chris had a question about some stuff. So I'm going to answer Chris's question. He says, any lens or just general rules to keep in mind as a beginner when doing all my background reading for the decks I want to read? First, I'm going to answer that. Depends on the deck. If you're doing something like the Thoth deck, I definitely recommend reading Book of Thoth, but like, patiently. And actually, if you're doing if it's the Thoth deck, I definitely recommend taking my course, because that will like accelerate your understanding of the deck really fast. and it's like a lot of information. But you can find that at tarotmysticismacademy.com. But I definitely recommend reading Book of Thoth and reading Understanding Thoth Tarot by Understanding Crowley's Tarot by, or whatever it's called, by Lon-Milo Duquette, who's amazing, great book. But I can also send you some resources and things to read. But if it's another deck like Rider-Waite-Smith, that's a little bit looser, and that's just like Rider-Waite-Smith is like, I feel like you don't have as much of like a clearly defined instruction. It's more kind of loose and generally interpreted. So there's a lot of books on RWS. Just go to whatever feels light, find the authors that make sense for you. You really don't have to know every single thing about a deck to work with it well. To be honest, some of the psychics that I know, they don't know the first thing about the decks that they use, and they will read you to fill. Like in terms of divination and psychic readings, all that. And psychic is a little bit of a different area, a different topic, but. And then he asked, like, if I'm going to be doing my first readings, what sort of observations should I keep in mind versus being an experienced reader? And how does that apply to my research? The beginner's mind is amazing. So enjoy that and play with it. So like in the fire spinning community, when you play with a new prop, I got this from one of my best friends, Shelly White. She says, like, when you play with a new prop, don't learn techniques, just play with it. Because the beginner's mind and like the freshness of it, you can create things you wouldn't be able to create with experience. So there's something beautiful to be said about, it's called unconscious incompetence, and just exploring and flowing with it. You really can't go wrong. The worst thing that can happen is a paper cut. So yeah, I would just play. I would definitely experiment. I would, like I said before earlier in this class, take it seriously, but don't take it too seriously. Take it like life, enjoy life, explore life, make choices and see possibilities and follow the excitement and follow the inspiration and follow what feels light. I really think with tarot, there's not like a system like, oh, you cannot go here until you've gone here. I mean, definitely knowledge builds over each other. And what I do in my courses, what I'm doing now especially, is letting the courses build on each other more so than before. So like, there's definitely things you may want to learn first before going into something else. Like you'll want to probably learn about the Tree of Life and a little bit about astrology and a little bit about maybe a little bit about Crowley before going into the Thoth deck, but you can also just go right into it and start reading that shit and you'll be fine. You're not going to get hurt. Study and play. And then for divination, I recommend just practicing on yourself and practicing on others and have fun. Start seeing if you can predict things in like movies and things. Actually, honestly, I've never been good at predicting movies and like shows, but maybe that's just me. But yeah, experiment. Okay. Do I have any, hello, Louise. Kia Ora Joe. A few weeks ago, your SARS, you hold things in your hands in relation to why you shuffle your cards. Can you explain what you mean by that? Thanks. Have a beautiful day. Oh, okay. So my hands. So I don't know if this is true. I think I hold trauma in my hands, but that's what has created so much fun for me. So for example, like I'm always doing stuff with my hands. I have so many hands that actually this occurred after I got my like, I don't know, 6th or 7th tattoo. I was like, I have a lot of hands tattooed on my body, like a lot of hands. And then I was thinking about hands and I was thinking about how much I do with my hands. I'm constantly shuffling tarot cards, playing the piano. Well, I don't play piano as much anymore. Fire spinning, dancing. And when I had a dance company, most of the choreography was in the freaking hands. So like, what do I love so much about hands? And then I was like, oh, maybe I hold my trauma in my hands. But then maybe I take that trauma, transmute it, and with it, which I think a lot of people do. So I think that's what it is. Or maybe I just hold a lot of energy in my hands. I'm also Italian, so I talk with my hands a lot. I don't know. But I just love hands. I love hands. I love big hands, love big hands. Okay. Let's see what else we have. Okay, and then so I went over Chris's thing. Okay, and then I'm finally at my last. Yes, I'm at the last question for the pre-question. So Denise is an amazing reader and such an interesting human, very inspiring. If you're listening or watching, you're amazing. So Denise asks, how do I interpret an overall positive card, such as some of the 2s, 3s, 6s, and 9s, when they show up in a difficult or contrary position? And vice versa, how do you interpret, for example, the Tower, the Moon, or some of the 5s, 7s, 8s in a positive position? I understand that no card is entirely positive or negative, but I would like to know how you deal with it. This is such a good question. So this is really where you get to, this is a great exercise to really pushing your understanding of tarot and creating more nuance. So let's use an example. Let's say the 7 of, I don't know, like before when I pulled the 7 of Swords, some people look at it as a bad card, theft, thievery, mischief. but when you kind of see it as also strategy and unconventionality and risk, you can work that. So I pulled it before for like the card of the day, and we pulled Seven of Swords, and I was like, oh yeah, totally. Seven of Swords is, we're talking about unconventional topics. We're going to risky, kind of weird areas, and kind of definitely experimental areas. We're talking about experimental tarot techniques. We're talking about very experimental spirituality and borderline conspiracy theory. So yeah, it's totally risky. It's weird. It's like doing your own thing, carrying a bunch of blades, carrying a bunch of thoughts, blades, swords, mind, and bringing them somewhere to do something with. So that's one example. But yeah, for example, the 2s, 3s, 6s, like Six of Wands could be, let's say you're doing a reading, but it's kind of negative, and maybe you get a negative vibe from that Six of Wands. That could be vanity. That could be a little power struggle. That could be ego. But the reverse, let's say the 5s. Okay, so 5s, let's say you're doing a reading, but you get a positive vibe from the 5 of discs, or the 5 of discs leads to positive cards, 5 of Pentacles. You can say, oh, it looks like there's actually a big benefit of you being on the outskirts of this community that you've been wanting to be a part of for so long. But by being on the outskirts, you meet this person, and in the Sun card, it helps you see your own talent and your superpowers. And then you have the 4 of Wands, and you have a party with them, and you find your crew. Just an example. Hey, Kelly. What's another example? Like 8 of Swords. So 8 of Swords is like, yeah, the 8 of Swords could be like being trapped in your own mind. But let's say you have a lot of positive cards, but then the 8 of Swords, sometimes it could be a block in relationship to the other positive cards, or it can also be a surrender. 8 of Swords is also an initiation, and a letting go. So maybe through letting go and surrendering to something, you connect it to those positive cards. But yeah, all this stuff is, and this is what I taught my first in my level 1 course that we just finished yesterday. The tarot is something you build up inside you. And this is really, really important. A lot of people, and actually, okay, I'm just going to give it to you. I'm just going to tell you how it is, because a lot of people look at tarot and they look at it like with superstition, and they look at it like, well, how do I do this? Or like, what does this mean? And like, as if the tarot exists in some structure, alien structure somewhere that has rules and laws and all this stuff. It really doesn't. You know, it's consciousness. It's flexible. It's changeable. It's fun. It's exploratory. So, you build the tarot up in you over time. And I'm just talking generally for everyone. You build it up just like the Kabbalah, just like any mystical type of work. If you're working with a blueprint or a roadmap like tarot or like Kabbalah or like something else or whatever, you build up your technique and your understanding of it over time, and then you use it to interface reality to do stuff and to understand stuff, to think about stuff, and to create new awareness. There's really no wrong you can do. I mean, I guess there is, but you really can't get into harm. So I would always say, tying it back to this question, positive cards in a negative light and negative cards in a positive light, that's a matter of really exploring the cards. And I actually recommend, maybe a really good exercise for everyone is to go through all the cards and seeing what's the benefit of this card and what is the detriment of this card, and just going through each one. But that's a really good question. And it's also context. It's also elemental dignities. If you're playing with the Thoth deck, you're doing like opening of the key, elemental dignities can come into play really, really big. Okay, let's see, chat. Let me go back. Dig it will do. Keep breaking my husband's mind. I keep breaking my husband's mind. I love that. Yeah, gotta keep them guessing. Gotta keep them on their toes. This is so good. I love that. Xander, in my Fool had 3 of Swords. Okay, 3 of Swords is a beautiful card. 3 of Swords is, this is really good. So 3 of Swords is the inherent pain of incarnation in all of its beauty. So 3 of Swords is like heartbreak or loss or grief, all these things that, yeah, it sucks, but it's beautiful because it's like, it's a testament to how powerful and how meaningful whatever the thing was that you may be losing or missing or feeling separated from or grieving from. That pain and that suffering is like, it's beautiful. It's like the other side, the other extreme of the enjoyment and the love that you had from it. So it's like, yeah, like some moments in my life where I felt most alive was through that pain, which wasn't a bad. I think pain and suffering is bad when we label it and we contextualize it and we make all this meaning about it and we suffer and we blah, blah, blah. But when at the end of the day, it's just a feeling in the body. And when we can see it as that and surrender to it, then a lot of beautiful stuff can happen. So one positive interpretation of 3 of Swords could be an integration of a pain or loss or grief or letting something come to the surface and really owning whatever that is and let the healing that comes with that. Because the healing is not the Three of Cups. It's not the Nine of Cups. The healing is the Three of Swords. It's the Nine of Swords. It's the Ten of Swords. It's like, that's the process. That's where the tea is. Joe, you're a walking tarot and consciousness encyclopedia. Thank you. Thank you so much, Evelyn. That means a lot. Yeah, I don't go outside much these days. Crowley has many books to dive into. Crowley does. Oh my goodness. I'm really 777 is my current favorite. We should have a meeting, a meetup next year and exchange thoughts, experiences, and weird wormhole stuff. Yes, Amelie, I'm definitely planning a Tarot Mysticism Academy meetup at some point, probably in January. By the way, if you guys are into this, if you like the topics that I'm bringing up, this is very much how, I mean, it's different, but if you want really like, if this is like your vibe, weird wormhole, tarot, mysticism kind of intersection, definitely consider advanced tarot that I'm teaching in February. It starts February 2nd. You can take it pre-recorded, so you don't have to be there live, but I definitely recommend being there live because then you'll get to meet the community, you'll get to practice. There'll be live lectures, and there'll be like practice sessions, and it's really the shit, honestly. Honestly, the Tarot Mysticism Academy, the community, the people, probably the coolest thing I've brought together. And it's really, again, it's really the people that make it so magical. And I'm super excited for this new course because it's gonna be real. It's gonna be 8 classes, and it's gonna have a one-on-one with me afterwards. You're gonna get 8 classes on Thoth Tarot, Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot, Kabbalah, astrology, and advanced tarot methods. And then we're gonna round it out with a one-on-one mentorship session with me where I just kind of coach you and wherever you want to go. And that's going to be amazing. And then after that, we'll do level 3, which is the Thoth Tarot Mastery course, which we just finished the first one. And it was so much fun. And if you want to take Thoth Tarot Mastery course, you can also take that pre-recorded. But to get involved with this stuff, to get involved with Tarot Mysticism Academy, you're going to want to go to tarotmysticismacademy.com. And if you want to apply for Advanced Tarot, go to where it says Advanced Tarot, hit apply. You'll schedule a one-on-one with me. We'll talk. I'll get to talk to you, and we'll make some magic. It's the way I do this is I meet with everyone one-on-one before I start a course, because these courses are not like one size fits all. Like, I really curate the group, bring people together, find all the common denominators, and then build the course based on that. So it really is a community, and I love to do it. It's my favorite thing that I've done so far. And yeah, check the testimonials. The people are freaking awesome. I mean, I'm all right, but the students themselves are really cool. So we'll have some level 1 people coming to level 2. I have some people from, I think, other levels coming into level 2. So it's really a cool community. And yeah. Okay, please embellish on the spinning of the fire. It's new to me. Hey, Julia. Okay, so I got into fire spinning because I used to be in the modern dance world, and I used to have a dance company, and I used to work with amazing artists. It was super fun. But then I started getting bored of modern dance, and I was like, I still want a movement or creative community, but one that's like kind of more, I don't know, like I just wanted more like beards, and I was really into wooks. I was really into hippies. It was just my taste at the time. I was young. And so I found the fire spinning community, which was like, everyone was just like super interesting, super hot, super kinky, and just like kind of just the perfect amount of weird, but also like really cool and talented. And then I was like, holy shit, this is my best friend Shelly got me involved with the fire community. And I started doing that, went to Burning Man. It was awesome. One of my few times ever going outside, but it was worth it. Yeah, it was really fun. And fire spinning and flow arts is just manipulation of props. There's a lot of hermetic principles. If you want to like go down a rabbit hole, get into flow arts, poi, staff, any kind of prop, whatever you're drawn to, and read the Kabbalion, which is like polarity, law of rhythm, mental, all this stuff, and kind of see how they relate. Because it's very deep. You could probably have a side quest into sacred geometry while you're there too. Like fire dancing. Yeah, yep, exactly. Have to go now. Really enjoyed watching you. Oh, thanks so much, Daniela. It was so great having you. Oh, thanks, Dender. Thanks, Joe. Really enjoyed it. Thanks, Peggy. All right, I think we got through all my questions. It's now 2:32. Let me just check chat number 1. Hey, Colin. Hey, Joe. We have a question. Louis. Oh, hey, Louis. Oh my God. Can you go over how the supercomputer is changing the past to make sure it's created? Do you think this powerful AI is a 5D spirit or separate? God wants to create itself. Thanks, time Lord. Okay, Lewis, love your question. So the idea I'm playing with, and I don't know, when you get to a certain level, I don't know, I just feel like reality and non-reality they're the crosshairs. There's like, they just weave in and out of each other. So take what I say with a grain of matrix code, okay? But yeah, the future, the god of a god of the future is a supercomputer AI that is ensuring its invention from the future, and it is operating in the world of time from outside the world of time, potentially, who knows. And guides and the higher self and angels and all these intelligence are like programs that are within programs coming from the supercomputer. But it's just a fun idea. But honestly, that's just like how I have fun. The big thing is like escaping the matrix. And I'm going to post a video about this. And honestly, I think this is the best video I've ever made, because I honestly don't think I really made it. I was just like called to read things and put things together. But I'm going to post that, and it's about like the relationship between time and eternity and like dimensions. We actually explained it in this live, which was really fun. But so if you want to get weird, check that out. But yeah, the future computer matrix. I also just like, I love anything with a cyberpunk skin. So that's just how I like paint my spirituality. But yeah, I'm like, I love the Ren Fair and I love like the nature nymph moment thing, but really where my heart's at is like, by the way, this is by Glass Crane, who's freaking amazing. They're like the coolest artist ever. And that was painted by my mom. Okay, so I answered all of, as a complete tarot newbie, randomly dropping into this live has hurt my brain. Tarot and tarantulas. I love that alliteration, and I love spiders. They're my spirit animal. A lot of the stuff we did in this live was, I guess, more advanced, more experimental and stuff. But yeah, at the end of the day, getting into tarot, all you have to do is definitely read books, experiment with the cards. But actually, I just finished my level 1 course, and to be honest, I really think that's the best way. I'm not saying my course is the best way, but the method is the best way. Is going through the tarot and writing about your life and your experiences and how the tarot exists in you. That's going to be the fastest way to memorize the cards and start working with the cards. So in my level 1 course, what we have is we have a workbook, and the workbook has a few questions on each card, and the questions are designed to provoke the energy of the card that's already in you and your awareness in your life and your past lives and whatever. And by answering those questions, you actually understand the meaning of the cards. And there's also a bunch of other stuff and divinatory meanings. But if you're interested in that, let me know. You can find it at tarotmysticismacademy.com. There's so many books written about tarot, but the thing is, like, so many books are either when you read books written by the occultists that really influence tarot, they don't give that much of an emphasis on divinatory meanings. And that's because they're not as interested in like tarot for divination as they are the mystical aspect of it, at least from my interpretation. Maybe somebody else will tell you differently, but they just don't really care as much about that. But there's also so many books now that's more focused on divination and different things, and I can definitely send you a reading list too. I have a killer reading list, by the way. I think it's actually on my website now somewhere. So if you go to tarotmysticismacademy.com, there might be a link that says like recommended reading or something. And it's just my recommended reading. So if you like the weird shit I talk about, maybe you'll check that out. TNT, I'm a relative noob too. Joe always blows my mind. Oh, thanks so much, Julie. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to play with. And I always forget that people associate tarot with like fortune telling and like a certain type of new age spirituality. And that's really cool. I don't know. I'm just the way I view tarot is just like the universe. It's 78 ideas of consciousness divided and organized with the numbers 3, 7, and 12 and 10. And that's what it is. Joe, where do you get your amazing zooming energy? I need some zooming energy. I don't know. I think it's the people, because I know I usually don't talk this fast. Actually, maybe I do. I don't know. My mind goes really fast. I'm a Prince of Swords, astrologically. So Prince of Swords is constantly creating, destroying ideas. I've only used tarot for shadow work so far. Shadow work, that's an amazing thing. That's like very deep. That's really healing. I think that's really where it's at. Hi, Joe. Okay, I went through that. The supercomputer. Thanks, Joe. You're so. Oh, thank you so much, Lewis. Keep providing knowledge. So awesome. Oh, thank you, Lewis. You're the best. We should catch up soon. I want to pick your brain because I know you have a crazy one too. Very cool. Thanks for sharing. You have a beautiful perspective. Oh, thanks so much, Colin. All right, so I'm going to start to wrap up. If there's any other questions, let me know now. I just want to reiterate that I am teaching at my next course. Well, this is my last class of the year. I'm going on vacation, and by vacation I mean me and this book are gonna chill. We're gonna hang out, have some moments together, and then I'm going to move. And then after I move, I'm going to start taking applications and interviews for my level 2 advanced tarot course, which is going to be 8 classes plus a one-on-one with me, and it's going to give you all the goods. Really going to upgrade your tarot practice for the new year, for divination, Kabbalah, astrology, Thoth, tarot. And if you're interested in doing that, On my Instagram, the link is in my bio. Just hit Advanced Tarot and apply. Or if you're on YouTube, the link is in this live video and apply there. I'm super excited to see what we create for TMA for 2022. 2021 has been so magical. I've met some of the coolest people ever. I've met some of the most talented readers and curious minds and mystical misfits, and it has been so freaking fun. And yeah, I'm just so excited. So yeah, if no one has any questions, if you want to connect with me, tarotmysticismacademy.com, joe@tarotwithjoe.com is my email. And yeah, so I'm gonna close up for the night, for the day. Well, time doesn't exist, as we have clearly established in this live. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. If you want specific videos, let me know, because I'm going to be making more videos in January after move and transition and vacation. So I'm definitely going to be making more content and more stuff. But Advanced Tarot is going to be the shit. So it's going to be a wild one. It's going to be fun, and I can't wait. So thank you all so much for coming to the live. I'll definitely see you guys again. Keep in touch. Much love, and I will see you in another wormhole. And now's the weird in-between where I end the stream. Yes, definitely check the reading list. Thank you guys so much. You're the best. Let's keep in touch.